You ever just walk around like everything's normal, and then all of a sudden, life gets extremely frightening? Like out of the blue. You didn't see it coming. Everything was bright and colorful, and then BAM! You're at a Spirit Halloween. This spooky phenomenon happens in video games too. Most commonly found in cartoony platformers, but the trope manages to slip its way into other genres as well. When a game starts to break away from normality and slips into a dark, twisted reality where even just a few minutes, there's just something about it. Then, one level later, you return to normalcy. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. Non-horror games that feature spooky levels for no reason, but to mix it up a little. The David Pumpkins of video games, if you will. While I am starting to become a fan of traditional horror games, I will not be going over them anywhere in this video unless it's to make subtle references. I'll talk about actual horror games in a later video, so please sit back, relax, and join me as we take a trip into the unknown. Where am I going with this? My dad used to tell me all the time that my favorite Disney movie growing up was Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. Which is weird, because once I hit 6 years old and dreamt that the little demon kids kidnapped my friends and family before attempting to kill me, I grew an irrational fear of the movie. So, color me surprised when I discovered that Halloween Town was one of the many worlds found in Kingdom Hearts. I'm being dead serious. I grew weary every time I had to visit this world, which is funny, because I would purposely ignore Atlantica on every playthrough, because my child brain couldn't comprehend the deeper gameplay mechanics of underwater combat. Back to my point. Halloween Town used to be a world that I dreaded visiting. As a kid, because of my irrational fear, I used to have to play through this world with the lights on, which sucks because the world is dark. And the best way to play through this particular level on a CRTV was in the dark. Thankfully, my brain developed a little bit more and was able to start playing this world normally, and not like a childish baby. Now, Halloween Town is one of my favorite worlds in the series, as it's home to a lot of the original Kingdom Hearts storylines. In the first game, Jack Skellington is looking for a way to control the Heartless for his upcoming Halloween celebration. Not in a malicious way, he just wants them to dance with him.
Do you want to dance with me?
Go and fuck yourself.
Why won't anyone dance with me?
Because I want to fuck you.
While Oogie Boogie is looking to control the Heartless with malicious intent. The experimental heart that Dr. Finkelstein gets stolen by Lock, Shock, and Barrel, aka the demons from my nightmares, and it's up to Sora and company to get it back. Halloween Town is meant to be a world full of unique passageways, using tombstones and coffins as a way of traversing throughout the world. Oogie's Manor is a giant mansion of twisted turns that, in some spots, require the player to light specific lanterns in order to ascend. The enemies found in this world are also based on Halloween cliches, such as mummies and gargoyles, and don't even get me started on the rare Heartless found beneath Oogie's Manor. Due to the world's success, Halloween Town became a series staple in future installments. In Kingdom Hearts 2, the world focuses on acting as a sequel to the events of the movie, where Jack is trying a second attempt at being this year's Santa Claus. While the world isn't as unique as the first game's interpretation, the world is still full of spooky surprises, including the addition of Christmas Town. Enemies are still spooky, the boss fights are frightening, more or less, and Sora's outfit is still fresh as hell. In Chain of Memories, Jack is looking for lost memories, and our good friend Oogie goes through it when he decides to drink the potion meant to bring back lost memories. We still don't know what he saw, and in 358 Days Over 2, Jack is looking for his next big Halloween idea and discovers Roxas and company running around in organization codes, blessing him with a new idea for scarecrows. Also, Lock, Shock, and Barrel constantly taunt Roxas all throughout his visits to Halloween Town. Personally, I would love to see Halloween Town return to the series at some point. I feel that Square Enix could really nail the stop motion techniques, especially within the Unreal Engine, and really make the world pop like never before. However, I would only want to see it return if there is a story worth telling. Like I said earlier, This spooky trope is commonly found in cartoon platformers, and has honestly become one of my favorite tropes in gaming. One of my favorite instances of this comes from the Sly Cooper franchise, as they have 3 different chapters throughout the series that use this trope. The first one being Vicious Voodoo from the first entry in the series, Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus. This level brings us to a swampy village somewhere in Haiti, where Sly is tasked with finding Ms. Ruby, one of the villains responsible for murdering his father. Ms. Ruby is a voodoo priestess known for bringing back spirits from the dead to do her bidding since she couldn't make any real friends growing up. Been there. This chapter is full of fun, spooky stereotypes that really hit home with the genre. Killer ghosts rising from tombstones, strange branch monsters that move at will, a giant anaconda snake that devours anything in its path, giant blood-sucking mosquitoes, exploding chickens, and so much more. When I was a kid, I dreaded this level because all the platforming windows were so tight, and the enemies were so big and fast. But now, I'm a professional. The same can be said about Sly 2 Band of Thieves, which features 2 spooky levels back to back, those being Jailbreak and A Tangled Web. I'm not going to go too deep into Jailbreak as I already have a video of me gushing about it, which I highly recommend you watch. It's great. So, for this video, I'm going to gush about the follow-up chapter, A Tangled Web. Following the events of Jailbreak, Sly and the gang go after the Contessa, who just happens to be a secret member of the Claw Gang, and temporary holder of the Clockwork Eyes. In this chapter, the Contessa is at war with Constable Neela in this creepy town of Prague that's littered completely with werewolves, bats, and vultures patrolling the area. Like I mentioned in the Jailbreak video, there are enemies disguised as statues all throughout the level as well to keep things on edge. Granted, this level does tone down the spookiness compared to its predecessors. If I were to rank them, it'd be pitted 3rd place on the spooky factor. But still, the themes of each mission within this chapter are great and play well with the overall genre. The Ratchet & Clank franchise shockingly doesn't have many spooky levels in the series, probably because capitalism is already a frightening topic enough. But still, as a cartoony platformer, I'm surprised that it took so many entries for the titular Lombax to get an actual spooky level. In Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Ratchet arrives on the planet Cordelion, searching for the Rubelon Forge to help construct a new Dimensionator. However, when Ratchet and Kid arrive, things are different. The facility is abandoned, flooded, and there seems to be something lurking around the corner. If I were to compare this level to anything, I'd compare it to Alien Isolation, as you're constantly being stalked by a creature hunting for you, its prey. The level is meant to make you feel isolated, and the music that plays here is eerie to keep you on your toes. While Ratchet may hold a calm demeanor, you might not. I, for one, hate completing puzzles while being hunted down by something that can't be killed. It's why Outlast is one of the scariest games for me to play. Insomniac did such a great job conveying this feeling in the gameplay. You're probably wondering why I didn't talk about Into the Nexus, as that game also features some spookiness. And that's because I have no way to capture that game's footage, and I don't want to heavily rely on using other content creators' content. Once I have a way to capture that game's footage, I may revisit this topic. On a side note, I think it's absolutely crazy that there isn't a spooky level anywhere in the Jak and Daxter series, which is honestly a bold move for a platforming series. Anyways, moving on. Subcon Forest from A Hat in Time is another great example of the spooky trope, and is the inspiration for this video. Funny how 2 videos of mine have been inspired by this game, which can only mean that A Hat in Time truly is the GOAT. Anyways, what makes Subcon Forest an interesting level is the fact that everything is connected to the central thread of the world, Snatcher, a devious spirit-like creature that enjoys making deals with those who find themselves lost in his forest, in exchange for their souls. Snatcher steals Hat Kid's soul, and the only way for her to get it back is to complete odd jobs for him, which include destroying local cultists, unclogging a well, exercising a literal toilet, and delivering mail to his minions.
I can't believe the captain remembered my birthday! He really does care!
I know, I just glossed over some weird things, but there's one odd job that stands out amongst the group, and that is Queen Vanessa's manor. Hat Kid is tasked to reach Queen Vanessa's attic without using any of her hat abilities, and things take a turn for the worst. Throughout the level, Hat Kid is hunted down by Queen Vanessa for unknown reasons. This subchapter is so scary that the devs included a shortcut that completely negates the level entirely and takes you to the timepiece at the end. It's honestly pretty funny. I almost always take this shortcut every time I play this game, just because it's quicker to get through, but believe me, the first time I did this level, I was pretty spooked. I'm pretty sure that Queen Vanessa is based on the same lore that Disney's The Haunted Mansion follows, which coincidentally enough is also a spooky level found in the cartoon platformer. Lonesome Manor can be found in Disney's Epic Mickey, which completely blends all iterations of the haunted attraction into one big playable level, and is one of the cooler locations within the Epic Mickey universe. The lonesome ghosts have been kicked out the manor while the Mad Doctor set up shop to perform some of his more devious experiments on the beetleworks and blotlings scattered throughout the mansion. Once inside, Mickey is tasked at restoring some of the inner machinations of the mansion by Madame Leona, as the Mad Doctor has managed to piss off some of the spirits. Go figure. The only thing that's bad about this level is the actual boss fight of the chapter. The Mad Doctor, as you don't actually fight him, but instead perform a series of gadget puzzles to defeat him. And it's a pretty tricky puzzle, and I'm still unsure on what you have to do to earn each respective paintbrush upgrade. I've platinumed the game, and I still don't honestly know what gives me the paint upgrade or the thinner upgrade. Someone please let me know in the comments. SpongeBob's The Cosmic Shake throws Halloween right at you in this creatively themed Halloween rock bottom level. Yes, because the dark trenches of rock bottom weren't scary enough. In this level, SpongeBob and Patrick are trying to find Gary before he gets eaten by a giant slimy monster that seems to be terrorizing the local trick-or-treaters. Lo and behold, it turns out that Gary was the giant slimy monster this whole time. Go figure. While nothing particularly spooky happens in this level, the level is still themed around the concept of Halloween, which is why I felt like I needed to mention it. The same can be said about the spooky levels found in Astrobot, as they aren't particularly scary, but are themed around the many concepts of spooky things. There's even a level called Spooky Time, which, if that doesn't drive away the point I'm trying to make, I don't know what will. Here's a game you probably weren't expecting to hear about. Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch. It's a fun game to play through, and honestly wouldn't mind seeing Bandai Namco make another one of these stories. They definitely nailed the Studio Ghibli vibes. Anyways, there's a section in the game that brings us to the Tombstone Trail, which is meant to act as the obligatory spooky level of the game. All the enemies are ghosts and mummies, there's cursed tombstones scattered around, and various jack-o'-lanterns to really nail the vibe. The plot twist that plays here is also really fun, that I didn't really see coming. I'm not going to go into spoilers here, regardless of how long the game has been out. Of course, this trope can show up in other video game genres as well. I remember the first time I played Uncharted Drake's Fortune, once I reached chapter 18. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. After an entire game of playing in the lush greenery of the jungle, you find yourself in a secret bunker filled with those who have been corrupted by El Dorado. The bunker's a maze, and having to navigate your way in the dark while being hunted by what I can only classify as zombies, it can be pretty stressful, and the story of how these zombies came to be just completes the vibe check. Growing up, I hated sections like this in video games because I hated never knowing what was around the corner. Thankfully, The Last of Us's basement chapter cured this fear. I wish it would translate to horror games though, but I'm working on it. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 shockingly had a horror section in the game. In fact, I'd argue that the game has 2 missions dedicated to upping the creepy factor. The first one being New Threads, which has us searching for Dr. Connors, aka the lizard at the local fish cannery. While Pete is distracted with Craven's hunters, he has Miles hunt the lizard down and things get a little tense. As you explore the disheveled cannery, you'll hear pipes clink around, and even come across the lizard's shedded skin, indicating that he's getting much bigger. Insomniac really plays into the scene by making the music suspenseful and the characters within tense as all get out. The same thing can be said about the second mission that doubles down on the fear, Wake Up. At the start of this mission, MJ chases down a sleepwalking Spider-Man, trying to wake him up before the hunters get to him, but things take a turn for the worse. Towards the end, MJ rushes into a trapped tunnel where only her and the symbiotic superhero are alone. I can imagine running away from a sleepwalking symbiote-induced Spider-Man being extremely horrifying, especially knowing that it's not only her best friend underneath the mask, but the person you love most. I can only hope that Insomniac brings the fear into next year's Wolverine. especially since we know they're going all out on the gore. On the DC side of the coin, something similar happens in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, where there are 2 missions in the game that lean on the creepy factor, and both missions involve the caped crusader, Batman. In the beginning of the game, the squad ends up taking shelter in a local building to avoid being captured by Brainiac's army, but things take a turn for the worse when they realize just which building they entered and whom lurks in the darkness. The Arkham Experience, an in-universe recap of the events of the Batman Arkham trilogy. The heroes try to escape, but Batman isn't going to let that happen. Personally, I don't know how this mission is meant to go. I don't know if there is a way to avoid getting your ass beat by Batman. Kinda reminds me of those Gavin Blake videos.
Where am I? Gotcha. Good night.
It's honestly a fun set piece to play through, and it's a shame that they kind of copy the same scene later on in the game. When it's actually time to take on Batman, the developers recreate the Arkham experience, except this time, it's in the depths of the Batcave. Harley has a plan to stop Bruce once and for all, but Bats ain't having it. This time, he's turned the Scarecrow's fear toxin into his own weapon and uses the squad's insecurities against them. That is, until Harley flips the script and starts literally the worst boss fight in the game. But still, the set piece before it really sets the scene for a spooky Halloween time. Remember in the classic Final Fantasy VII, where the train graveyard was one room? Yeah, Square Enix said, let's turn that one room into a full chapter in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like seriously, they nailed the vibe. Creaking noises all around, ghosts floating amongst the place, and of course, you can't forget the sound of children crying all around you. In the story, Marlene tells Tifa about the train graveyard and the kids that end up lost within it. And you can tell that this story has shaken Tifa to her core. Klaus is happy to be in between 2 beautiful women, but they're holding on to dear life. One little quirk I absolutely love about this chapter is the boss fight against the bigger ghost. By casting Cure on it, you'll actually do more damage to it than your traditional attacks. Fun fact. And of course, we have Persona 5 Strikers, a game that I really enjoy. It's definitely the better spin-off title. Anyways, the Phantom Thieves end up on the beautiful shores of Okinawa. Funny enough, I used footage of this level in my last video where I gushed about beautiful video game beaches. Funny how things turn out. Anyways, beneath the surface, or in this context, beneath the mask, the thieves find themselves in an abandoned facility that the locals were using to test some brand new jail system for their AI software, Emma. The locals are out to get them, and the only way to free them from their anger is to stop the boss at the end of the jail. To give off the abandoned vibes, they made the entire layout decayed, a dark, sinister green, and played spooky sounds that made even the brave Makoto fall down to her knees in fear. While it's definitely not a scary level, the feeling of fear is still in the air. 'Tis the season to be spooky, which is why I found it important to cover this topic just in time for Halloween. One game that I know that's about to embrace this trope is the upcoming SpongeBob game, Tides of Terror, which is shockingly not coming out this month, and is instead waiting for a November release. Don't know why, but I'm absolutely excited to earn another SpongeBob plat under my belt. Anyways, with that said, that's gonna cut it for this video. My common question of the day to you is, what is your favorite spooky level in a video game? Did I talk about it, or is there one even better than the ones I've already mentioned? Post down in the comment section below for a chance to appear in the next video, and until next time...
I'm David Pumpkins, and I'm gonna scare the hell out of you. Any questions?